And welcome back to this edition of Live with the Tribe, as we're going to talk a little ICC baseball as we're welcoming Coach Rick Collier here to the office and talk a little baseball today. And who don't like talking baseball? We're also going to welcome Lee Adams in as well. And Coach, first off, I know a busy day for you, so appreciate you taking time out of the day to come join us.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you guys are having us on today. And when you said we were going to talk baseball, I was all for that. I love talking it also.
Well, let's start off just talking about your career here, Rick. Started back in the 70s. No, I'm kidding. No, you've been here a minute, though. You've been here a minute.
Yeah. This is 20 total.
20 total years in baseball. And if anybody knows Rick and Lee, feel free to jump in anytime. Rick is the ultimate competitor. Like, if he's playing baseball, he wants to win. If he's walking down the hall, he wants to be the first one through the door. And, Rick, that's kind of your philosophy on baseball. You want guys to get out there and compete. Guys are going to work hard. Kind of just talk about your philosophy of baseball.
Yes, why do anything if you're not going to try to win? I read a saying the other night, the ones that says winning's not everything. That's the ones that's losing that says that, So, you're going to lose some games in baseball, but I want that guys coming down there just loves to be there. Wants to practice baseball no matter what the weather is. I tell them, we all have problems, and when you come down to the baseball field and you step in between those gates, I call it, that's my fantasy land. I like it down there. I love it. Throw away your problems and come down there and have a good time and get better in baseball. And then when we leave, we'll go attack our problems, no matter what it is, whether it's schoolwork or. Man, I love that kid that just passionate about the game. I do.
And you can see it in his eyes, Lee, right now. And when he starts talking about baseball, he loses that smile. He just got that that aggressive, not aggressive, but that competitor's edge about him. So, Rick, let's talk about it. Baseball season starting next weekend. Mother Nature hopefully will agree with us on this. Just talk about getting the guys ready for the upcoming season.
Well, it's a process, and the guys come in and we start working. There's a lot of there's some great high school coaches out there that teach the game the right way, and I'm fortunate to get a lot of those guys. But we rip, getting them in the frame of mind to hit the ball the other way. A lot of kids don't want to hit the ball the other way, and it's been a long process, and I've got some kids to buy into it, and working on hitting runs and pull side. You can't just hit the ball the other way. You got to rip on in, middle, away, and as the days are rolling by, it's becoming fun to watch some of these kids spray the ball around the field. In college, the pitching gets better and better, and they're hitting spots, and you can't just go up to home plate and say, I want that ball right here. They're going to pick your weakness, and they're going to start trying to pick on you, whatever your weakness is, and we just been drill work, fundamental work, just ripping and doing it. Even when we go indoors, we have a purpose, and it's fun watching them do each drill. Each drill is there for a purpose, and it's coming around. I'm really excited about it. These guys are getting better.
Well, Coach, one thing you kind of have an advantage on this year is you got 17 sophomores returning, so you got some experience coming back to help these younger guys get used to the college game. Talk about maybe some sophomore leadership and just how things are going to get ready for opening day next Saturday.
Yeah, we got 7 starters returning in the lineup, and our top 3 pitchers are returning, and it could be a great year. But you got to stay on top of these young men. They had a great year last year. It was fantastic, and some of them kind of pushing that button where they, you got a target on your back. I try to tell them it's not just going to happen for you. You got to keep working and keep getting better, because when you come in here, Etowamba stamped on your chest. Everybody's going for you. The hunger, they were hungry last year, and I think they still are, and they got a point to prove and maybe get over that obstacle and get to that next level. We all want to go to the World Series, and we had some chances last year to get in that third round of the winner's bracket in Eunice, and we had the man on second base in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, and didn't get him in. And I remind them of that every day. You know, where you want to be. Somebody out here is going to get that chance to get that big hit. How much are you working? How much are you working on your bat path? You know, to when it's your turn and who's ever called upon to get that hit. But they're hungry, and I'm that guy that's got to remind them to stay humble and work hard and do what you got to do to be successful.
And I think example of that hunger, we were coming out of a basketball game a couple of weeks ago, and you hear them out in the hitting cage. You just hear the ping of the bat, and that was probably around 10:30 at night. You know, and that's somebody going out there working on their own. You know, that's the thing about baseball. You know, if you want to be good, yeah, you got to practice. But the difference between being good and being better than good is the fact that you're going to go out there and work on your own. Kind of talk about that aspect of the game.
Yeah, there's not a coach in this world that can get you enough reps to in anything. It's not just baseball. It's I always mess around with Coach Pate. Like, you got an Alex Anderson out there this year. Every time I went to Coach Ball's office, get something signed or needing something, Alex Anderson was in there shooting. That's that kid that has that drive to you know, work extra. You know, you've got to get as many cuts in. It's got to be a sickness to you. The higher levels you go, you know, the harder you have to work. And we open the indoor cage for them at night after we practice on the field, and I don't make it mandatory.
Right.
But what's funny is the 7, 8, 9 guys that show up at night, and I got my boy up there hitting also, but the ones that show up are usually the ones that you can count on that put up numbers, is the ones that gets those extra cuts in. It's a you know, that's success and wanting to succeed. You know, who was it? Joe Namath. That extra mile's a lonely place.
Yep.
I think that was him. Don't quote me, but I love those sayings. But that extra mile is a lonely place. Not a lot of folks want to hit that extra mile.
Well, Rick, we're up against a break right now, so we're going to step away. When we come back with more Live with the Tribe, we'll talk with Coach Rick Collier about a little ICC baseball and just the game of baseball as a whole. So back with more right after this on ESPN 95.1 The Fan and Let'sGoICCTV.com. And welcome back to Live with the Tribe. We're talking with Coach Rick Collier about the little ICC baseball. This ICC Spotlight presented by the Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi. Our specialty is you. And so we're now going to go back to Coach Collier. Coach, let's not talk about ICC for a second. You kind of talked about something, and Lee and I can kind of vouch on this. You talked about Stone coming up there, hitting the baseball. Now, we've seen Stone. I've been here 9 years, Lee. You've lived in Itawamba County forever, so you've seen Stone since he could probably push around a baseball with his head. Talk about that aspect of the game as a coach, because he's been in a lot of situations where he's been there to see a lot of your special moments in your career. So I know that's got to make it extra special, sharing not only the game of baseball with Stone, but also just sharing your part of your career with him.
Yes, I tell him every day, you know, if you don't want to play baseball, that's your life, you know. But deep down, I'm happy he loves baseball. Yeah. I'm glad he wants to play some baseball. He eats, sleeps, just that's all he does is think about baseball. And little Joker's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good, and you know, it's just been a pleasure to have that young man around. And it's just like Eunice. I said, Stone, you need to go with us to Eunice this year. You know, we won't go again for another 4 years, and I said, you'll see what it's all about. If we can square off with them. Mm-hmm. And he still talks about it. He's like, Daddy, now that was a game.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
fun. That was intense. He said that's what it's all about. And just sharing moments like that. It's really been a blessing to me.
Well, I can speak from a dad's point of view here because I've got two boys of my own that are young. It makes me happy when I see Stone at games and he's out there taking BP with the guys and you're throwing to him, just playing catch. Like from a father-son aspect, that's just really cool to see. So just kind of talk a little bit about. I know you touched on it there. Talk a bit about how do you separate dad and baseball coach when dealing with Stone. Because he is playing baseball.
I don't. I tell him the same thing I tell my players. I said I'm headed up there to unlock the indoor cage. There's going to be several guys come up to hit. You want to go? Maybe a night where he doesn't want to go. I go, well, don't talk to me about wanting to play D1 baseball one day and you're going to sit on the couch. I hit him the same way as I do the other players. I probably need to cut him a little more slack, but he understands. But I'm pushing him and trying to give him every opportunity that I can give him as a dad. And and there's perks with me being a baseball coach for him to be around the guys. And he comes down to the field and the guys are messing with him and showing him this and that, and working with him. And it is legal for us to do that. It's funny. Coach Ball come walking by one day and he's practicing with us, and she looked out and she said, she heard me say, "Stone, do something." I got on him pretty good in the middle of practice, and she looked around, she watched a while, and she could have said, "I can't tell the difference. He's as big as some of your guys." But anyway, she did her homework, and we had to sign a few papers to make sure that I'm not ever going to do anything to the school or anything. I just want him out there practicing with me and going on the road trips, and we got all the paperwork done. But he gets after it, and he's doing good, and I'm enjoying being around him in that way, because I miss so much. Because one night I was going to watch a lefty at West Point pitch, and I text my wife and said, "Wow, I'm headed to watch another kid play, and my son's getting his second start as an 8th grader at his high school." But I ended up getting a lefty from West Point. That's great. We gotta have some players to keep producing some wins here. And but when I can have him around practice and it just offsets some of those times I do miss with him.
All right, well, let's take a look at the upcoming season. Of course, Lee, you talked about it, 17 sophomores returning off a very successful season last year. The MACJC, it's no joke. It is. It's a little. Everybody knows it for football, but I'll tell you what, for baseball, it's equally tough, if not tougher, in this league, because not only do you have to go through the MACJC, then you got a team like LSU Eunice in the region. So it's you got a tough road to hoe.
Yes, we went to a 28 game conference play, playing everybody a doubleheader, and I really do. I think that gets your best teams in the playoffs year in and year out, with us all having to play each other. But there's no days off. It's a roller coaster. It's you're gonna get hit in the mouth one day, and you're gonna hit somebody in the mouth. It's relentless. It's your JUCO SEC, as you want to call it. It's and it's fun. I like the guys in the league, and we compete, and anybody on any given day can beat you if you go out there and don't have your mind right.
And of course, you like to call them JUCO wars.
JUCO wars. That's what it's all about. I love those wars.
Explain that. Explain that to you from your point of view. What is a JUCO war?
JUCO war is when you come out and you start your BP and you starting to get your mind right and everything, and you got to know that. And a lot of us coaches talk about this. You come out and score 4 runs. Your pitcher may go out there and hit the next guy and walk the next guy. Next thing you know, you give up a 3-run shot. It's 4-3, and it's a slugfest. Now you're back and forth with each other. I always tell my guys, these JUCO wars, I said, "Are you one of these guys that I believe in? Are you one of these guys that I'd go to war and it's my turn to go to sleep in the, down in the pits? Can I trust you? For me to go to sleep?" It's just. It's just an all-out competitive. If you can't handle pressure, you can't handle that grind of a 9-inning, 7-inning ball game every day. It's just it's just a relentless back and forth. You're wore out after a doubleheader. That's what I call that old JUCO war, and it takes a special kid that can endure that.
Well, and I think one of those special kids is actually leads into my next thing I was going to talk about. You tell a story of Tim Dillard. You guys were struggling to get out of a ball game, and Tim had already pitched a game. He's catching game 2, and he walks up to you coming up as you're talking to the pitcher on the mound. He's like, "Coach, are you ready to go home?" And you tell him, "Yeah." Tell that story.
Yeah, I remember that like it's yesterday. He's a character now. I love him to death, and we're over at Snead State, and it's we're up. And I have thrown everybody. I have thrown. Stone would have been on that trip at 5 years old. I might have thrown him out there, but I've given them all a chance, and we're ranked like 4th in the nation. Don't need to take a loss, and it's bases loaded. They don't have lights over there, so it's getting hard to see, and no outs. I think we're up 2. I walk out there for like the 4th time and done pulled 4 other pitchers, and Tim said, "Coach, you ready to go home?" I looked at him. I said, "What are you talking about, man?" He said, "Give me the ball. All I need is 9 pitches. I'll get us home. We don't need to take a loss, Coach." I said, "I know that." I said, "We got Northwest in a couple days." I said, "I don't need." He said, "Oh, that's my bullpen." He said, "It won't hurt me, Coach." He said, "Give me the ball." I said, "I'll tell you what." I handed him a ball. I said, "Go over and start throwing with the third baseman." And I told the pitchers, when the umpire starts coming, run me out of here, let me know. And so umpire comes out and said, "What you gonna do?" I said, "You ready, Tim?" He said, "Yes, sir." So I put Tim in the game, and it was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. He came over and pitched me the ball and said, "Let's go home." And I said, "That's what I like as a kid like that. That wants, that's one of those guys that get in those wars now."
Yeah, and the best thing about it, Lee and I, we listened to his podcast, the Show and Go podcast, and he references a lot of his stories that influenced his career and his personality of baseball. Is some of the things that you did here at ICC. What was it? The Phantom Ball, Phantom Infield, things like that. So it's those connections that to me make baseball special.
Yeah, y'all sent that link to me, and I listened to it, and he referred to it as the good old JUCO days and the good Phantom Infield, and it relaxed him on it was a big game. It was. I heard him explaining it, and they had a good time. We came out and we won that game big time. Nice. Sure did.
We're up against one more break, and then we're going to come back and wrap things up and kind of talk a little bit more about individuals on the team this year. So you're listening to Live with the Tribe. We're talking with ICC baseball coach Rick Collier. We'll be back with more right after this on ESPN 95.1 The Fan and Let'sGoICCTV.com. And welcome back one final time here on Live with the Tribe. We're talking with ICC baseball coach Rick Collier. We're also being joined by Lee Adams. Lee, I'm gonna let you take this part of the segment. He's the baseball guy. I'm not a big baseball fan. I mean, I hate to say I'm not a big baseball fan. Not as big of a baseball fan as Lee. He knows the game a lot better than I do. So I'm just gonna let you guys talk about the team, some of the players coming back in that sense. So this is gonna be Lee Adams taking over the next part of this show.
All right, Coach. We talked about it earlier. You got seven starters returning. Got a lot of arms returning. Let's just start with the pitchers, really. I mean, because you got Houston Harden, Hunter Hughes. So I always messes. I always want to call him Peanut. And then Austin King being 3 of your main guys who started a lot of games for you. Just talk about, what your rotation's looking like this year and what you're expecting of these guys.
Well, you just named all 3 of our starters there, and we got a couple other guys that are battling for that starting job as we do a lot of inter squads and a lot of pen work, and we're watching. And I got a couple freshmen coming in battling for that third starting job. Kyle Krieger could easily be that guy, but man, you can't. He's got to be somewhere on that infield. He's got to be swinging at bat, and he did so well with that role of closing last year, and I'm probably going to leave him in that role if we do define another guy that can take over that role. But you got Justin Medlin that's throwing the ball well from Ripley, but he hits in our 4 or 5 hole, and hard to take him out. You got Peyton Phillips that that's bidding for that job big time. Tyler Smith, Pate Phillips from South Tillow, Tyler Smith from Oxford. Those two guys are really two good choices to give a shot to go there. You know, we got inter squads again today and tomorrow, and we're just trying to fill those roles, and we got several guys that could come in and fill in some mid relief, and then probably our closers are going to be, like I said, is Krieger.
Okay, well, closely related to pitching, got big shoes to fill at the catching position with Hunter Neighbors graduating and going to Ole Miss. Just talk a bit about how, not necessarily who's vying for that role, but because I know you got 3-4 guys who could do it. Just talk about how the importance of that position and what you're looking for to fill that role.
Yeah, Hunter Neighbors, that guy I caught him every game there when we got into the big time race in the division and or the conference, and but Austin Powell, he can do it. He's a transfer in from Arkansas State. He's from Star City, Arkansas, and he's a legit 1.8, 1.9 to second. Blocks the ball extremely well. To say he's replacing Neighbors, I don't know. Big time. I'm gonna watch him, and as we get half of the season in, and I'll be able to tell you what's going on. But it's gonna be hard to replace Neighbors. But Ray Sandroni, he's gonna get some playing time, and Alan Hall had a big car accident from South Pontotoc. He's just now getting back. He really doesn't have the feeling in his hand. He's a good athlete. He can pop some 1.8s, 1.9s down to second. I don't know what we're going to do yet with him for sure, of redshirting or not. We're just waiting to see how his body does and if he can withstand the punishment of being a catcher. But you know, we got some guys that can do it.
Okay, well, the old saying goes, defense wins championships, but you can't win championships without runs. So let's talk offense. Talk about some of the big bats that you are, what you're who you're expecting to have big bats for you and get the key hits and key runs for you this season.
You know, we had a team batting average of about 330 last year, and that's good in this league. That's extremely well. It's a good batting average. But you know, you're sitting there with Krieger leading off. He was, you know, mid threes, and you got Lancaster that got to rolling. He's in the mid threes. Jackson, center fielder, he's the fastest kid at the sophomore showcase last fall. And then you're gonna sit there with LB back. LB had a great freshman year for us. And you got Medlin, who's back. Justin from Ripley, LB from Tupelo, and then you got Jacob Hall from Petal that had a great year last year, freshman, that's going to be in the sophomore role that hit extremely well for us. We picked up a great shortstop out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. He's a freshman. He's bidding for moving himself up in the lineup pretty quick. He's an athlete. He can play. You'll see as time rolls on. But you know, Russell Bunch, playing third base, got hot for us at the end of the year, and he went like 9 for 11 in that East Central 2 out of 3 series that helped us go to Eunice. Had some big hits. We got some options, and then we got some pressure, and when you got some competition behind each other, there's several other guys. Hayden Palmer, we'll give him a shout out, from South Tillow, first baseman type guy. But when you start having some guys that can push each other for that DH job or any of those other positions, it breeds success. You got to have some guys that's just steadily pushing one another. Lane Domino, as I'm sitting here thinking, y'all got my mind rolling with it. He's wanting to play. That kid plays hard here from Fulton. His dad's a coach here at Etowamba High School, and he's playing hard. I love watching that kid play. He can play second base, outfield. Anybody decides they don't want to work hard and slack off, somebody else can push them pretty quick. So that just makes people stay on their toes to want to compete and stay in that lineup. You know, I heard Mitch Moreland say at a banquet one night, it's hard to get to the pros, but it's even harder to stay in the pros because there's somebody always wanting your job. So, you know, I look forward to it, and it's a good thing to have all this talent and competition pushing one another.
Okay, well, we've talked about the players and everything. I want to talk a little bit about you on this one aspect because, like you said, it's your 20th season here at ICC. What do you still get? Not necessarily butterflies, but that feeling when you step on the field on opening day. What is that feeling like for you? Is it like a kid on Christmas morning, or is it just old hat at this point?
If I ever lose that feeling, it's time to get out. I love going to practice still. I love watching kids get better. This is the time of year I don't sleep. You can ask my wife. She's like, I say it's baseball season. I think about the lineup in my head. It's already sends chills up my back right now thinking about next Saturdays for real. You know, hair standing up on my head. I've been very fortunate. I love this place. I love Etowama Community College. I love this job. To be able to stay here that long has been a blessing, and to be able to be the baseball coach at Etowama, I love it. I just love the game, and it's been very good to me. It's a blessing. Thank good Lord every day.
Well, Rick, unfortunately, we ran out of time. We're going to bring you back on again. Always good conversation with Rick. We may even have to film one of these on a bus trip one time. Just let him start telling some stories. But Rick, we do appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us here on Live with the Tribe on ESPN 95.1 The Fan. Of course, we'll start having a lot of those baseball games coming your way here as well, and then also on Let'sGoICCTV.com. So for Lee Adams, Coach Rick Collier, I'm Adam Gore. We'll see you next week here on Live with the Tribe.